Just a few weeks ago, President Biden gave an announcement at a press conference where he was announcing a new action plan to deal with inflation, specifically inflation regarding food and specifically meat. And the number one reason that he cited for the problem with prices of meat rising is a lack of competition. He stated that capitalism without competition is not capitalism, it's exploitation. And he said that's what we're seeing with beef and poultry right now, citing the fact that there are basically 4 big companies that control all of meatpacking. And because of this detailed and action plan to deal with inflation, which by the sounds of it is basically like trying to fight inflation with more inflation, and I'll tell you why. Ready? Let's dive in. Well, it turns out there is nothing new under the sun, and everything that we're seeing right now has happened before. All we have to do is open our eyes and study history to see what happened last time. And Ludwig von Mises talked about inflationary pressures and how governments typically respond to these inflationary pressures, which, by the way, the inflation was caused by government spending in excess of taxes and borrowing that had to be financed by the money printer, causing that inflation in the first place. Also inflation caused by monetary expansion through the banking system, through credit expansion through the fractional reserve system. Anyway, talked about how the government normally responds to inflationary pressures, and one of the ways is to subsidize high-cost competition. This is exactly what Biden said he was going to do in this recent press conference where he was announcing a plan to combat price inflation, specifically with meat, is to start giving money to the meat packers that are smaller, that have the highest costs, the least efficient ones, give them money to help them be more of a competitor, try to help drive costs down across the end results. Here's the problem. All of that spending is new money coming into existence, and everybody wants their $1,000, even if it's new money coming into existence, not thinking about the fact that that is going to cause their cost of living to go up by $10,000 next year. So we can give these smaller meat companies a little bit extra money, create that money out of nothing to give it to them, try and spark some competition, and yeah, you might fight a little bit of the inflationary pressures there with the meat prices, but guess what? All that new money works its way throughout the system. It doesn't stay in one place. That new money gets spent, goes into people's and businesses' bank accounts, and works its way throughout the system and starts bidding up prices. You can't fight inflation with inflation. And guess what? When that doesn't solve the problem, the next step is to subsidize the cost of purchasing that good. What do you think is going to happen to the price of goods when you start giving people money to go buy it? Well, if you're not aware, we can look back at history and see all of the times that they've done this, even in America, even recently. Check out healthcare prices. What happens when you start giving people money to spend on healthcare? Shocker, healthcare costs go up. And it's not because the quality has gone up. In fact, look at this chart and track the number of physicians and how they've grown over the last couple of decades. And look at the cost of administrators. Look at how many new administrators there are in healthcare over the same time period. And it's not just healthcare. Look at how bloated education has become, specifically because new money has come into existence by the government subsidizing low interest rate debt for the lowest credit quality borrowers in existence, students who have no assets and no income and no job history. Give them money to buy something, and guess what that's going to do to the price of that thing, in this case education? Obviously, it's going to drive prices higher. You can't fight inflation with more inflation. And the worst part is when all these plans fail in the end and they keep on handing money to people and realizing that that doesn't help prices, that actually hurts prices, the next thing that they're going to have to do if things get bad enough is price controls. That's a topic for another video, but that is something that always results in worse problems, worse shortages, and does not solve things long term, makes things much worse. But in the end, it looks like, at least for now, we are in for continued inflation, continuing to see prices of our meat go up for the foreseeable future. As always, really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.